Man, the more you think about Auburn's loss to Oklahoma, it still hurts.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us. We'll talk about how we're supposed to feel and what this means for this team. But obviously, Auburn loses to Oklahoma 24-17. And I think there's different ways we can approach this, but I think it would be dishonest as far as representing and discussing the talking point of the fan base without mentioning just how awful the officiating was and letting Oklahoma really start the game out with a 14-point swing.
You know, this is one of these games and one of these shows that we are going to do that's going to be very raw and transparent. And full disclosure, I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit for your viewers and your listeners. I'm glad that because of certain circumstances, we waited 3 or 4 hours after the game to record this. It gave me a little bit of an opportunity to kind of process some things, think through some things. Because, you know, after a game like that, you're emotional. So let me just start off by saying this. You know, Oklahoma's a good football team. I really feel like defensively, I have to give them credit. They're better than I thought they were on the defensive front. They were absolutely wreaked havoc. But at the end of the day, for the people that were jumping in comments and getting on timelines and going after Auburn fans, I want them to lean in real close and listen to me. If you know ball and if you're honest with yourself and you follow Oklahoma, when your head hits the pillow tonight, you'll know that that was a tainted win, period. I don't care what you try to justify. I don't care about the 10 sacks. We'll talk about all the different things that Auburn did to hurt themselves. At the end of the day, the nation, national commentators, the people that called the game and other media knows that you got out of Norman lucky to win that game, that Auburn came to your place and played you to a game that they should have and could have won if not for horrific officiating. Take that to bed with you, digest that, whatever medicine you want to take with that, Sooner fans. That win should have an asterisk next to it, and it's tainted. You can get mad, you can push back, you can say what. At the end of the day, there were some things that happened. Now, I'll let you comment to that first, and then I'll go into the Auburn portion of that.
I mean, we've won games off of controversial calls that went our way. I mean, I think about Bo Nix's backward spike against Arkansas, or this wasn't a call, but, you know, the Missouri running back just dropping the ball on the inch line when, you know, maybe kept Brian Harsin's job a little bit longer. Like, we've been on the other side of these fluky. I'll say fluky, or I don't know if those were tainted. Maybe the Arkansas one. I think there would be an argument from Arkansas fans.
Fluky and tainted are different things.
Yeah. I think the Mizzou example's fluky. I think the Arkansas one might be similar to this. We were just on the other side of it, and I just remember not caring.
That's fine. Yeah.
To me, being on the others, like, sure, Auburn should have won yesterday, but goodness gracious, Darrell, I'm tired of saying that. I'm tired of saying, you know, we should have beaten all these teams that we did last year. It's a different scenario, right? Because this is something that we didn't control. I think a lot of the stuff, you know, against Cal and Arkansas and Oklahoma last year was like self-inflicted stuff. This is a little bit different. But at some point, like, we've got to take a step as a program where we can overcome these things, and we're not there yet. And
I'll get to that point about the Auburn responsibility of that. I would say to the thing, examples you just made.
Yeah, sure. So the thing specific to like what you just said about, like, I don't care how Oklahoma fans feel about this. Would be my initial main response.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm just I mean, it's just the reason why I mention it is because it's a story. It's the point that you made about the Bo Nix thing. I absolutely agree, and I'm not a hypocrite. I said the same thing. You know, I can remember saying that's Auburn stole a win that they shouldn't have had there. The other point to that is, my God, Zach, though, let's be honest, that was one call. Have you ever seen a game where it was 4 calls? 4 calls that were blatantly that wrong and went against a particular team? I haven't, and I've been watching football for a very long time. And that's not to say it hasn't happened. I'm just saying I haven't laid eyes.
2 of them are obvious, right? Yeah. The scoop and score, those called back. The deception play that wasn't called.
2
just
pass
so we're all on the
interference.
same page. What were the other 2?
2 pass interference calls. The Eric Singleton throw to Cam Coleman. Now Auburn scored after that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take away the fact that the official was looking away and missed. What if Auburn doesn't get the 4th and 11? Convert the 4th and 11. That could have been fatal when you're trying to take the lead. And then the touchdown pass or one of the ball over the middle of the field when Sean McDonough said, why did they not throw the flag there? Mm-hmm. And McElroy said, when Coleman made the catch, I think maybe because he made the catch, who knows, but the flag still should have come out.
Got it.
2 non-pass interference calls, the deception play, and of course the scoop and score. To Auburn's credit, they scored off of one of those. So it's just simple math. If it happens once, I always say, nah, you got to overcome that. Bad calls happen all the time. It happening twice was the difference in a ball game. I mean, we can play the what-if game all we want. We can talk about how we would feel if we were on the other end, if we were Auburn fans. But the reality is the nation understands that too. I've been listening to Sirius radio last night, and it was some of the talk about that. So, okay, that's the officiating part of it. The perfect storm happened last night. Auburn was faced with 2 different storylines going on at the same time that they had to overcome. If they overcame just one of these 2, they win the football game, but they couldn't. Okay. The first was the officiating. Okay. The second was the things that Auburn is responsible for, that Auburn needs to take ownership for, and look in the mirror and say, despite the officiating, Auburn still could have won that game had they hit Coleman on that touchdown pass that was wide open, that was overthrown.
Right.
If they didn't take 10 sacks, if they kicked the 50-yard field goal, if they didn't have a ton of penalties, all the stuff that they did to themselves, despite the officiating, if they take care of business themselves, they overcome adversity and win the game. On the flip side of that, all the stuff they did to themselves to lose the game, they win the game if the officiating was correct. 10 sacks don't matter. The 10 sacks would not have mattered had those 2 calls gone the way. You would have had 10 sacks and still won the game.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It was 2 alternative timelines, things going on that you had to overcome. It's a lot to ask a football team to overcome one of those sequences. Auburn was tasked with having to overcome both, and it was too much to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. My 2 biggest concerns from Saturday, I want to get you to respond to both of them, if you don't mind. That's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Wayfair. Darrell, we love Wayfair. We love Wayfair. It's where we get a lot of our furniture. You've gotten several different things, including literally all that and the kitchen sink from Wayfair. They've got everything you need to start the mood for the season. I think they've got some deals going on right now for outdoor furniture. That's where we got all of our outdoor furniture from. They want you to cozyfy your space. I'm sure you cozyfy spaces with Wayfair.
A great word. That's a word that we use in our family a lot. The cozy. Yes, they want you to do that. And furniture is a way to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding to autumn decor and outside furniture. You can find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Square. You guys use Square for the business that you run. Square recognizes that neighborhood businesses, small business, is the foundation of this country. And many businesses like you use Square, and you've had great success with it.
Yeah, we go to these rallies and these things that we sell. And when you're at these rallies, you don't have a cash register or a way to take money. And Square attached to the phone is the preferred method.
Yeah. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see ya in the neighborhood. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, especially on mornings like this, where you watch an incredibly tough football game, a stressful football game, a game where this team battled back and had a 17-16 lead. And then you watch, another quarterback have his potential Heisman moment against you. It stinks. It absolutely stinks with all the controversy around it. But you can't control the controversial calls. You can't do that. So here are my two biggest concerns from what we saw on Saturday, Darrell. One of which, yet again, when the game's on the line, there's nobody on either side of the ball that sticks their chest out and says, I'm going to finish this game. Hey, guys, follow me. I'm going to get us there. Whether it's on the defensive side of the ball, I say, hey, I'll meet you to the football. Trust me, I'll already be there. Or on the offense, where like, hey, follow me to the end zone. The frustrating part of it is you may have that guy on offense, but you didn't give any of them a chance. And when it mattered most, you couldn't get the ball to Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, or Malcolm Simmons. And that is a problem. That's a problem with your quarterback. That's a problem with your play caller. It's a problem with everything. The fact that nobody got an opportunity is a major, major issue. And they just didn't seem prepared. That last drive started with 4-ish minutes left. It might have been closer to 4.5, Darrell. And then they just didn't seem ready for it. They're very nonchalant, which I'm fine. I don't want you to be worked up or anything, but there does need to be some level of urgency. And then all of a sudden, 2.5 minutes of game time later, and you haven't moved the ball forward at all. And it's 4th and 29, I think, from your own 1 or 2 yard line. What was that? And it was just sack after sack after sack. There was no presence from anyone. And so that was my first major concern from yesterday. I'll let you kind of respond to that.
Ironically, Auburn had that moment though when Malcolm Simmons scored and Auburn went down the field and came from behind to take the lead. So there was a flash or a moment where it looked like, okay, that's not easy to do on that defense.
Then it goes to the defense.
Then the defense could not.
Couldn't stop.
They played lights out the whole game. They really did. And when it mattered most, they couldn't get that stop. And then you say, okay, the defense has been carrying you for a lot of the game. Now's your moment, Jackson Arnold, to come right back down the field and win. And Auburn, that last offensive drive, put it in a dictionary on look up how to make the worst possible drive to win a football game. That's it. Play calling, getting the play in, penalties, going backwards, protection, holding onto the ball. There are so many things that were
everything was wrong.
Atrocious.
They held on the kick return.
Yeah.
There was no presence as far as the quarterback holding onto the ball, because the first sack, Jackson could have gotten rid of it in time or gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Then you had an offsides call, then multiple sacks. I mean, it was just a disaster. Everything that could go wrong, everybody was taking turns of I'm going to let this fall apart.
And they got a first down. They got a first down on that drive and actually came out and got a first down.
Right.
But on the pass to Alston. But again, they were playing from inside their 10 because Auburn leads the country in penalties on kickoffs. I'm to the point right now that I'm not.
Is that true? Lunsford. I'm assuming. I'm not pushing back.
I'm just joking. I'm joking. I don't know. It just seems like it. I will tell you this. You have a special teams coach who you're really, really high on. You're still missing field goals, and you're still freaking holding on kickoff returns.
That field goal had that 50-yarder by Gibbs, 0% chance he was making that.
Right.
Like we knew that in real time. Like no one
everyone's like,
now I expected him to actually like kick the ball.
Make it look at least competitive. Yeah.
Like give it a shot. Like you're telling me McPherson couldn't, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right call to like not have Alex kick that.
If I'm Auburn at this point, when do you if you're Chad Lunsford, you just say, start calling fair catches on kickoffs so we can start at the 20 or the 25 instead of
unbelievable. And like, I know that Pleasant is electric.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's such a joke. Malcolm Simmons catching that punt on the wall. Like, what are you doing?
That's special teams. It's special teams, and you're coached not to do that, I'm sure.
Between that and the false start stuff, that's where like all the folks that want to point at freeze, where I'm like, I don't really have a defense against it. 3 years into this, you spent so much money on these offensive tackles and they can't stay on sides.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
My other thing. Are we done on that before I get to my other?
Yeah.
My other point is that the 10 sacks is concerning, and it's not concerning because it's the 10 sacks. It's because they're all from different things. Some of it's Jackson holding onto the ball too long. Some of it is I'm not sure that protection actually made a ton of sense in some situations. In some situations, it was just offensive linemen getting beat. And then in other situations, it was just like guys running unblocked. It's a lot of different things. That's a lot of information you've got to fix. Now, the saving grace, hopefully, in this is you're not going to see a defense like this outside of Georgia this year that run a ton of stunts and can just physically own you in the interior. So I'm hoping it was just a bad matchup, but I'm a little concerned because of all of the different problems that it presented. It wasn't just one thing.
No, it was multiple things, and that's what makes it concerning. If it was just Jackson holding on to the ball too long, or just the offensive line getting whipped, or Jackson trying to do the quarterback draw and you get stopped a yard behind the line of scrimmage, which counts as a sack, and there were 3 or 4 of those, which is a little bit – I get all that. I don't think they'll see it.
Not all sacks are created equal.
Correct. And I don't think that you'll see – you played some of that game without your starting center where a couple of sacks occurred. I will say that Ellis played really well as a freshman. He came in a couple of those years. I don't
think he was the problem.
No, he's not.
Do you know he's 17?
He's 17. I want to – before I panic on that – I want to see what Auburn does against Texas A&M, and I want to see what Oklahoma's defensive line does against other teams in the SEC. If Oklahoma goes out and does not have another game where they have more than 2 or 3 sacks, then I will say there's a concern, obviously. And if Auburn goes out against A&M and Texas A&M sacks Arnold 5 or 6 times, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But no, the offensive line moving and the false starts and all that, it should be cleaned up, just like the special teams thing should be cleaned up. We're talking about 3 years now.
3 years, and you invested in it. Yeah. You invested in these things.
And Auburn actually started running the ball a lot better in the second half, and I think you could have limited those sacks if you would have run the ball a little bit more.
We're doing the same thing we did a year ago where, okay, it's a loaded box, so no matter what, we're going to pass it if the box is heavy.
Yep.
And it's like, we thought that would change, and it didn't. And there are a few other things. We were going to let the show be shorter. I've got more. Hold on. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Another thing that drives me crazy. Where was the Eric Singleton jet sweep?
Yeah, they ran it. They ran it once. I think that Singleton was really banged up, and so they didn't want to run him along the line of scrimmage with the way
they did some stuff with Malcolm.
Yeah, Malcolm ran it instead. I
don't think Singleton got one.
I thought he had one, and it strung him out. It strung outside. Maybe he didn't. I think probably they didn't want him to run into the Oklahoma defensive line with his banged up as he
Singleton did not have a rush attempt. Now, sometimes they count it as a pass.
Well, if he pops it, it's a pass. If he flips it to him.
Yeah, I mean, he must not have been that banged up. They threw it to him 11 times.
Yeah.
He had 9 catches. I don't think he was that banged up.
I'm going to tell you something that's a very underrated part of this game that people don't want to talk about either when we talk about things driving us crazy. 2nd and 2 from the 4-yard line, and Auburn has to kick a field goal. When Cobb made that run, and Singleton could have walked in if Jackson leads him on that little swing pass.
Right.
It was too close to the sidelines, and so the throw took. Everyone's like, why did he step out of bounds? He caught the ball with no room.
Jackson's placement was not good.
He caught the ball with no room. You score a touchdown there instead of 3. That's a +4. You're not taking that safety. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of. This is the biggest what if game that I've watched with Auburn. It reminds me a lot of the Penn State game in Harson's first year that Auburn went on the road and lost by a touchdown because they threw 3 fade balls in the end zone.
Mississippi State in 14, where it's just like
the Texas A&M, the
A&M.
But let me say this: I am not a. This is something that I really wanted to get across. I am not a participation trophy guy, a moral victory guy. I'm not. I am just as frustrated because of all the factors. The way I started the show is going to sound like I'm telling you there were a lot of factors. There was the officiating. There was Auburn's self-inflicted stuff. There was a lot of things that just, if one of those things doesn't go that way, Auburn can win this football game. But at the end of the day, I want us to understand something. To me, this looked different than previous games where Auburn came close and you're frustrated and go, got to win these, got to close. I get it. It looked different because there were multiple factors. What happened last year was mostly self-inflicted. Bad turnover, penalty. So you went on the road against the number 11 football team in the country.
I don't know, Darrell.
And you played, and you played offensively at times about as poor as you can from an execution standpoint and from a, shoot yourself in the foot. You got 3 of the most egregious calls called against you. That was a 14-point swing because you scored a touchdown after the pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
And you lost by a touchdown.
Yeah,
I'm only saying clean that stuff up.
I think we need to be a little more consistent. And this is me. I said it earlier too, and I think I'm wrong. The self-inflicted stuff, like we turned it over on a bad punt or a bad snap to our punter. I mean, that's the difference in a ball game too. Like they didn't have anything going offensively.
Unfortunately, it doesn't count as a turnover.
Oh, but come on.
It is. I agree. It's a turnover.
Like 50 or 60 yards, though, right?
I know. I'm saying to me, that's considered that should be a turnover, and it's not on the stat sheet, but that plays like a turnover. That's the feel of it.
Yeah. No, it's devastating. And like special teams, man. And like you can't win in this league if we can't fix special teams. And like,
but then I think
Hudson's a good punter. And I don't know. It kind of looked like he had room to kick it there, but I don't know. He knows more about that than me. And maybe he thought he had the athleticism to make that guy miss and then kick it. I don't know. But of all this stuff we did in the offseason to address special teams, where you get Rayshon Pleasant, you go out and get Hudson, you go out and get Connor Gibbs to be a backup. And like, it doesn't really feel like we're that much better on special teams than we were a year ago. The only good part about special teams has been like, oh, Alex is a little bit healthier than he was last year.
I'll tell you something else too. A lot of times we look at these things in a vacuum and we only look at what Auburn didn't do to win the game that were self-inflicted. But to be fair, and I'm going to be very, very honest, Oklahoma was absolutely gashing Auburn and just dropped a handoff they would have scored on that drive, right? And they were rolling, right? And they dropped a handoff and Auburn was lucky. How about the swing pass that Mateer throws through the guy's hands where he almost got sacked? And when they showed the different vantage point of it, he would have walked in.
How about those 2 drop passes? One of them would have been a pick 6 that Jackson threw.
So I looking back at it from the self-inflicted stuff, they almost evened themselves out. They should have scored a touchdown on a swing pass that went right through the receiver's hands. They were absolutely gashing Auburn and just dropped the ball on a handoff. That kind of stuff in the course of a game could even out. The difference was,
I mean, that's going to happen.
It's football, but the difference was they did not have and people will say, what about the offensive pass interference? Well, it was offensive pass interference. It was obvious, and he did it twice.
The first one I'm shocked they called. The first one I thought was pretty good.
Well, he threw his shoulder into the guy. I mean, it wasn't even a pick play. He literally blocked him. They went shoulder pad to shoulder pad.
The first one I thought was pretty smooth. I'm shocked that they threw the flag.
Watch it again. He threw a shoulder pad. He knocked the guy off the ball. It was like a block.
I'm glad they called it. I'm just surprised they did.
So when I look at the self-inflicted stuff, Oklahoma had opportunities where they laid a couple eggs too. The difference was, and I'll say it again, they didn't have to overcome the calls. Bottom line. But they did have some stuff that they did to themselves that they could have put a couple more touchdowns on the board too, to be fair, that they did.
Yeah. No, I mean, that game and just seeing what was posted on the internet and all that, it's pretty clear that Oklahoma people don't know the rules of football. Like the horse collar stuff where they thought was a horse collar, then
it was a sleeve.
And then they didn't think that they horse collar Jackson when he clearly did. Some of that stuff where I'm just I can't tell if you're just being angry or competitive or in the moment, or do y'all not know what certain words mean? It was pretty wild.
And at the end of the day, Oklahoma actually had more yards penalized than Auburn did, right? Look at the stat. I mean, didn't they have more penalty yards than Auburn? They had some pass interference.
Yeah, they had 9 penalties for 99, and we had 13 penalties for 85.
So Auburn had more penalties. It was just they weren't, a lot of pass interference,
yardage,
fouls,
false starts. Half of them were false starts.
At the end of the day, it's still it still doesn't feel. I mean, there's no moral victory in that. Yeah.
I hate it.
But
if anything, it makes me feel worse. Where it's we should have had it. It was right there.
If Auburn focuses on this and dwells on this will become a 2-loss.
Look, I mean,
you have to flush it, and you have to go to Texas A&M next week.
Yeah,
and put this. It's hard, but if you let it linger, you can lose that game, and it could be ugly in College Station. And now you're coming back home 3-2.
Yep. Notre Dame put it on tape of how to score on Texas A&M. Hopefully we can replicate some of that. But look, A&M had a massive win, and then they didn't play this week. They got to sit on their couch and recover. We were already kind of banged up. We went on the road and played a really physical game, and we got to go back again. That's tough.
It's a tough part. This is a gauntlet, and we said that at the beginning of the year, and then you get Georgia, who beat Tennessee last week. Yeah.
We get a bye week, though. Bye week.
Yeah, that's right. Big boy football. It is what it is. You just have to flush it and move on. It's life in the SEC. It hurts. It's going to linger, but they have to use that as fuel and cannot dwell on this. If they do, literally the season could go sideways. You have to be careful. You have to be careful.
Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, Wednesdays and Fridays with you, and of course these reaction shows.
Yep. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.